Hey guys, it's EsoPa, and today I'm just going to be doing a quick video on ladder and what you should be looking for on ladder as you're building your decks. How you should be taking a look at card levels, taking a look at interactions, just like the mode in general. I know that I've been getting a lot of questions about whether or not I could do a ladder specific deck, ladder specific thing. Because like a lot of my content is geared toward tournament play or competitive play, which is very true. I don't play too much ladder, but I do know how to climb it, what you should be playing in general. The reason why I cannot do a specific ladder deck is because all of my viewers or all of you guys have different level cards, and that really skews. There are sometimes cards that you guys don't have. There are sometimes just things that you can't do. So instead, I decided to do just a ladder specific video rather than like deck lists. I'll be going over what like ladder, like the differences between ladder and competitive play, cards that you are seen on ladder more, cards that are not seen on ladder as much, and hopefully by the end of this lessons, you guys can build your own decks or have like a rough knowledge of what you should be putting into your decks and what you shouldn't. Also, I'm going to be taking a look at, like after we're done talking, I'm going to be taking a look at just like TV Royale decks, not the top 200, because the top 200 can play any deck they want because most of their cards are maxed. I'll be taking a look at just like Jungle Arena, Frozen Peak Arena, Royal Arena, and all of these decks, and we can take a few of them, just talk through why does this deck work at this trophy range. Are there card levels like good for this range? Can they play this and can they play that? Okay, so ladder is, I want to stress this again, is an inherently unfair game mode because the cards are not capped. You can think of this mode as like a free-for-all mode. You can think like if you guys ever played CS:GO, this mode is exactly like deathmatch, right? There's no real rules. You just go in, you try to practice your headshots, and that's kind of what ladder is. Up until you hit the top 200, and not even then, there are some skewed matchups because of card levels. But assuming that you guys are then on an even playing ground, then ladder becomes meaningful. But because of that, like I'm assuming that the majority of you aren't there, and you guys are just playing in 4K, 3K, 4.5, 3.5, whatever. So the matchup is inherently unfair. Why is it unfair? Because cards are not capped, which means that opponents or you even can have higher level cards and just mess up all the interactions that have been known. So levels and interactions become important. If you are an underleveled player, this guide is generally going to be pointed toward you. If you're an underleveled player, then your goal in your ladder deck is to your goal is to basically minimize what is it, like negative interactions. You want to be minimizing negative interactions like as much as possible. What does this mean? Well, it means don't run cards that are really severely underleveled and then the interactions just kind of screw you over. If you're running, like if you know that you're running a level 6 musketeer when everybody has a level 7 or higher fireball, like don't run that card, because you're just opening yourself up to being traded on for positive value every single time. So there are certain cards that are good, that are good under leveled, that still do their job but aren't destroyed by like the current meta cards. There are also cards that just do very badly even if they are at level, and especially when they're under leveled. I mean, like, what cards are those, right? Like, how do I know what cards are like that? Well, when we take a look at this list, cards like Spear Goblin. Well, no, actually, Spear Goblin's one of those cards where levels don't really matter. It gets zapped, it gets logged no matter what. You This is not a good first card to look at. Like the bomber. All right, let's take a look at the bomber. Everybody already knows that the bomber is a pretty shit card, pretty bad tier card. Why? Because it can only hit ground. Has it has a high attack speed or a high attack base damage, but the bomber itself like has almost no health and rarely gets value. Rarely gets value. Not a card that you want to be using in ladder. What about? Oh, oops, sorry. What about like the mortar? Well, actually, the mortar is a great ladder card. The mortar is one of those cards where you there are a few cards in this game where underleveled players just take a card and go ham with it on ladder and do very well. These cards are like RG. These cards are mortar. These cards are elite barbarians. What is the similarity here? Well, they're commons, meaning they can be easily overleveled and do not have a real like weakness, a real open weakness. If you're skilled enough with a card like Mortar, you can overcome RGs, you can overcome giants, you can overcome hog riders. Like actually, hog riders are a really good, easy matchup. But yeah, you want cards that don't really have like straight up answers to them. And you don't want risk associated to your cards. Cards like Mega Minion are super solid because they can't be fireballed, because they're tanky, and because they can hit ground and air. Cards like Ice Golem, very good. 2 elixir, mini tank that deals with a lot of options and just doesn't have like a real hard counter either. What are bad cards? Well, Furnace, right? You can't use, unless your Furnace is maxed, the interactions between a low level furnace and a high level tower is terrible. Your furnace fire spirits never get to the tower because they get one shot, and then it's like you have basically a card slot that is empty. It's a bad card slot. Using a card like we talked about 3 muskies. Let's see. I think the legendaries, we don't really need to talk about them, but I would say like if you're under level, don't use spawners. If you use a spawner under level, like spawners in ladder, because ladder has an OT overtime of 1 minute. Spawners, their goal of the game is to drag out games. Their goal of the game is to whittle your opponent down by just sending troops at them and making positive like value over time. So understanding that, like, why do you want to be playing spawners if you're under leveled, which can be easily handled in a mode where you're probably most likely going to draw. I would say like if you're over leveled and like say you're level 13 and you have like maxed spawners, just place spawners in an underleveled place and just like rocket them out. Like that's fine, but that doesn't work for players who have underleveled cards. So like a card that does well also would be like a cannon. Cannon does very well. It has it has health, it acts as a solid defense. But even better than the cannon, I would say for ladder is definitely like the Inferno Tower. Where's the Inferno? I think I have Inferno Tower up here. Inferno Tower is one of those cards that is a general all-around great defensive card. Takes out all tanks, can hit ground and air, has a lot of health, and doesn't really impact you if it's underleveled. If say you know you have like a tournament Inferno Tower, you can still use this Inferno Tower against like rares that are level 9 or 10. It's maybe not 10, but well, probably like 9 or 10. It'd be hard, but like Inferno Tower still does its job. So again, the cards that you should be taking, you want to be minimizing negative interactions as much as possible. When you're in tournament play, all of the interactions are known, but when you're in ladder, I don't really expect you to know if like a level 10 fireball takes out this amount of tower. You guys know like all the interactions kind of change, and because on ladder you're facing someone with different level cards every single time, you just want to have as stable a deck as possible. like I, I'll try and just like run through cards that do well in ladder. Also the thing to understand about ladder is that a lot of it is viable. A lot of the ladder, like a lot of these decks are viable in ladder because you can kind of run whatever the hell you want, as long as as long as like the levels are there and as long as you're comfortable with it. There's not like something you have to run. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so like I think skeletons are good. Ice Spirit's good. Like good. Even Zap on with the nerf is good on ladder. Because an overleveled Zap or even something close to Zap will still do very well. Fire Spirits are good. I say that Spirit Goblins are kind of meh in general. Archers are good. Minions are good. Cannon is good, bad, good. Really good, by the way, if you want to be under leveled and climb really fast. Mortar is definitely one of the ways to do it. Alright. I would say Barbs and Minion Horde are very risky cards. Minion Horde can be traded up on very easily, same as Barbarians. Elite Barbs are okay. Great defenses, I think. RG is good, another win condition that you can level up as it is a common. Great. These are good ladder cards. Tombstone is an alright ladder card. Mini P.E.K.K.A is alright. Hog is a good win condition. Bad unless this card is maxed. Fireball is good. Musketeer is alright. Like, I would say Musketeer is better if you're under leveled, if you're also running like an elixir collector. If you have bait cards, I think you can run this. Like in my instance, my Musketeer is level 10. If I'm facing a max level Fireball, the Fireball takes out the Musketeer, but if I have a pump in my hand, then I can pump. You know, it lets me get away with it. It's not just free value for him every single time. Valkyrie usually is bad. Battle Ram, I'm still unsure. It's a very interesting card. It's probably better with things like, you can do like Balloon Battle Ram, Hog Battle Ram, kind of works. Wizard is bad. Bomb Tower is bad. Goblin Hut is bad. Giant is good. Collector is good. Bad. Collector is also very deck specific. I think in ladder you want to be using Collector with cards. Generally tanks works the best, like Giant, Golem. Yeah, like those archetypes. Three Musketeers, same. Like you don't want to be running this without a pump. This card is good depending on how good you are with them. If you're bad with them, just don't even touch them. Mirror bad, Rage bad, alright. Guards are okay. Like epics are sort of iffy because if you're under leveled, the best way to climb ladder is by using commons and rares. Commons plus rares because they're the easiest to level up. What kind of skips that is legendaries actually. If you have a legendary, most of the time, let me just remove this and I'm pretty sure it's legendary. Sometimes like some legendaries can be under leveled, but because of their just uniqueness are very good. Cards like Miner, cards like Electro Wizard, cards like Graveyard, a little bit of Ice Wizard, and Princess too. They do very well. Epics are the hardest ones because they're the hardest ones to level up in general, and they typically fall out of scaling. Sort of like you don't really want to be using Prince if it's underleveled, even if it's with like a giant deck, because it can be easily just like stopped. But yeah, you see a lot of decks used like this kind of combination: commons, rares, legendaries. Now, if we take a look at like TV Royale, right? Let's take a look at TV Royale, like Jungle Arena. That kind of looks insane. Okay, what about this guy's deck right here? This is actually a kind of even replay. Lava Loon against Minor Control. He's playing like a Minor Control deck. Lava Loon, level 5, level 9, so a lot of his stuff is near 20 cap. His Loon is 20 cap. His Mega Minion is level 6, but that's okay. His Lightning is 2. 9, 9, 4, 3, 1, 1, 1. So this is actually an even matchup, and I think both of these guys' decks are fine. This Minor Control has a spell. You need at least one spell. Has Minor and Princess, very good. He has a defensive tower with Inferno. Like, a lot of this deck right here isn't punished directly by card levels. As for this guy, the Lava Loon, let's say that this Minor, let's say his Zap was one level higher. I'm pretty sure level 10 Zap can zap out all of the lava pups, even if it's nerfed, I think. But all right, I'm just gonna assume that like it doesn't. I'm gonna assume that a level 10 Zap doesn't take out a level 1 lava pup. I think Lava Hound is good on ladder now because Zap doesn't immediately take out just the lava pups. That was a problem with Lava Hound before. Everybody right now is running log, but you can't run log obviously if you don't have it. So I would say this deck is overall good. Like in Super Games deck, there's nothing that dies immediately to card levels, right? If he sets up defensively, he just plays Lava Hound and Balloon, and his deck works totally fine. If we take a look at H Soon's deck, right? Let's take a look at H Soon's deck. Well, he has Bomber, he has Wizard, he has Valkyrie, he has Giant and Hog Rider. Giant Hog Rider can work, but his deck has almost no ways of defending. Like, his deck is kind of all in right here. And his cards can be traded up on very easily. His Wizard, like, his deck is really costly. It's almost 4 elixir, and I don't know, it's not very versatile. He kind of does one thing. He kind of pushes into you and hopes you dies. If you can pull his units, if you can just like pull the Giant, kill off the Hog Rider, then you deal with like Valkyrie, Bomber, skeletons. Like, it's not that hard. You just kind of go around all of this. All of his cards can be traded up on very easily. And I think this is probably a bad ladder deck. It's not versatile at all. Let's talk about this deck. This like Hog deck. He is running, I guess it's pretty even. He has level 8 rares against level 7, but in general, this Hog deck, why would this be bad? Well, I guess he has a spawner. Goblin Hut is like okay. He has no spells besides Rocket, so he's hoping to get damage in, or he's hoping to break through and then just Rocket. If this deck never breaks through, which it shouldn't, because you have like Baby Dragon, Witch, Prince, Valkyrie, and stuff. This deck is easily kiteable. All you have to do is stop the Hog Rider, and you should already have like a Hog Rider counter in your deck. A lot of the decks that come up in ladder are like Hog, RG, things that you should have tank killers for. So this deck is just not. It's also not versatile. It does one thing too, like let me get damage in. I'm gonna hope I get damage in, then I can rocket you. I like this deck. This deck by Kidunsu. Kind of looks like a Pong deck, sort of like a Hog, Rocket, Log, Princess, Hog Princess cycle deck. I'm not sure how I feel about this minion horde. And he also has a triple spell with Zap. Zap is okay. He has a cannon, but he has like no real tank. If you look at this deck, he has no real tank here. His minion horde will get traded up on. I think Executioner's fine. I think Princess is fine. I would probably I think you have enough air here. You could probably replace this minion horde with like a tank, like a knight even, or guards, and then just like be set. Try and limit your deck to being traded up on as much as possible. Yeah. Okay. I think that's enough here. If there's any other questions that you guys have below, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, all of that jazz. Remember guys, ladder is unfair. The biggest thing is that its time limit is 4 minutes overall, 3 minutes, and then 1 minute overtime. Much different. Games on ladder are more aggressive, but can also be drawn easier. The goal of because levels are uncapped, the interactions all change. So your goal in ladder is to minimize negative interactions as much as possible. Pick cards that are all around good and won't put you into a hole. And the easiest way to climb is to use commons and rares. And depending on the legendaries, some legendaries, epics are harder to use, and epics rely far more on levels than anything else, and it's hard to level up epics. All right, so I think that's all for today. If you have any comments, just put them below, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching.